Hello and welcome to part 3 of this week's lecture series. So we'll be looking at using positioning in marketing management. So one of the uses for positioning is first of all providing a diagnostic tool for defining and understanding the relationship between the products which we make, the service products, and the markets in which we deliver them to. So is there a fit there? Are we positioned in a way that matches where our product matches the customers that we're trying to deliver them to? It's also a good way for identifying new product opportunities, such as new service offerings. So if we are developing a new service offering, does it align with our current and existing product offering, what we're currently doing? Because if we have a certain position, just say we're positioned in the market as a high quality, expensive product, and then we're developing a new service offering which is lower and cheaper, that's going to obviously have an impact. If it's under the same brand or the same positioning strategy, it's going to impact our original positioning and drag it down. So new service offerings positioned in different ways might not align, well, obviously don't align with our existing positioning, and therefore it's going to impact it, and that could be in a negative way. Also, redesigning new services. If our service that we're currently delivering doesn't actually align with our positioning at the moment, or our target market needs are changing, how we can sort that, and also eliminating services. So if you are going to cut out, like if you're in a position where you're providing services and there's too many and you got to cut them out, it makes sense, well for us as marketers, it should make sense that we're going to eliminate the services which do not align with our current market positioning, because they're going to be the hardest to deliver value to our target market. Alright, now also making other marketing management decisions regarding competitors, such as distribution strategies. So does our current distribution align with our market positioning? And if we are developing a new distribution strategy, how is that going to align with our positioning as well? Pricing strategies. Now often when we talk about positioning within the market, we use quality and price, and price ends up in our positioning quite a lot, but it's not always part of price. Sometimes our positioning is uses the positioning variables, so we need to consider how pricing is going to affect that as well in our pricing strategies. And then also communication strategies. So that's just 3 examples. Of course, we've got 7 elements in our extended marketing mix, so we've got to consider all of those and how they relate back to our positioning. Now we've got a model here about developing a marketing positioning strategy. It's like just one model, but there's quite a lot of stuff in here. So we've got segmentation in the middle. I'm going to start in the middle because, I like to be different. No, I think because this is the core. So in the middle we've got segmentation, we've got targeting, and we've got positioning, right? And this whole week is focused on positioning. So this is the guts, the core of this model. So, but before we get to the segmentation, targeting, positioning, and how that impacts how we use that to develop our marketing strategy, we need this analysis, all right? And this gets done through often marketing research, which I understand not all of you have done that yet. But when you do study marketing research, these are the things that we're trying to answer, the data, the information that we're trying to find, such as our customer analysis. So if we're analysing what our customers are within the marketplace, what is the market attractiveness? Like, what's the market size? What's the growth, the potential in that market? What's the profitability within those market segments? What are the trends? So what's where we're at now, but where are we likely to go in the future? Our customer needs, those that are under or are unserved needs, and then also the most valued benefits. Now, bearing in mind, when we do this analysis, often when we ask these questions of our customers, the data that we collect from that doesn't always necessarily relate to the true underlying concepts, because our customers aren't always, as experienced with marketing as we. So when we ask these questions, sometimes we need to dig quite deep to get the answer to these things. But this customer analysis then, through our research, helps us to define and analyse our market segments then. Because in the past, I've said, if you want to do positioning, you need to segment, target, position, and I've told you the segmentation variables or the groups that we use to cut up the market, but we've never actually done that as an exercise before, because we've never actually been able to do this customer analysis where we collect the data and do that. Right, so these segments are needs-based segments followed by demographic, psychographic, behavioural segmentation, and then identify attributes and service levels valued by each different segment. Right, so if you've got a We'll go back to the example of an airline. If you do have multiple segments, you've got one segment which values low-cost flights, and then you have another segment which values high-service flights. What's the difference between those segments? How are you going to divide them up and service those two different segments without, fence them? And then also, what attributes then do they value the most? So if they are low value, low cost, but you cut the cost to a certain extent that they lose attributes which they value, then you're going to undermine the value of the service, right? Right, so this is the top one in segmenting our market. The next one is we use competitive analysis, such as their current positioning, how our competitors are positioned in the market, the strengths of our competitors, and the weaknesses of our competitors. So that's when we can do market research looking what's in the existing market, but then we also can do internal analysis, company analysis, and we look at our current positioning, so how our customers currently view us and our products relative to our competitors, and what do they how do they view us? What's our brand image? And what are our current strengths? What are our current weaknesses? And what are our values? How do our customers, what do they think our values are? And once we understand our competitors and our own company, so the external analysis and the internal analysis, we then can work out which target markets to serve, which target segments to serve. And these determine customers the firm can best serve. I'm looking at this screen here because it's too hard to see on that screen, it's too small. So determine the customers the firm can best serve, identify and analyse possible ways of differentiating our product. So it might be differentiated in one way, but there might be meaningful differences that we haven't explored yet, we haven't actually communicated yet. And then decide on focus strategy, i.e. we're going to focus on a particular service, a particular segment within the market. Select the benefits to emphasise to the customers. Benefits must be meaningful to the customers, and benefits must not be well met by competitors. So they've got to be distinct and meaningful, but you've got to be able to hold that position as well. And that's why we talk about sustainable competitive advantage, because the harder it is to replicate that advantage in the marketplace, the more sustainable it becomes. Right, so then once we've got the segment, diced up the market, cut it up into different sections, different segments, we can choose the most profitable segments, we target those ones, and then we want to position. Now, articulate desired position in the marketplace. Now, positioning must address an attractive market, which hopefully you've got through you should have done. If you've done your competitor analysis and your company analysis right, you should have the correct target segments, the most profitable target segments, which you're going to go for. And then position must give a sustainable competitive advantage over our competition. And this links right back to our organisational strategy then, which is the goal. Once we know what our competitive sustainable advantage is, then we determine our services marketing strategy or our plan, right? So this is our positioning strategy, how we know how we want our customers to see us, and then our 7 Ps is actually delivering on that strategy. So the 7 Ps of services marketing, we've got our customer relationship strategy, and then our service quality and productivity strategy. So although really the customer relationship management strategy can force into the 7 Ps, and the same with service quality, but because they're so important in this model, they have been separated out. Now I want to show you an example of a positioning map. So in here we've got a selected courier service, positioning map of desired speed of delivery versus cost. Now I said this previously, where often positioning has price in there, which is it makes sense because price is so important to consumers, and we're trying to work out how we're positioned in the market. So you go, what do you think of them? Often customers will reply with they're more expensive or they're less expensive. They're nice and cheap, or they're very economical, or they're good price, or they're so expensive I can't afford it. That type of terminology comes through. So they are, price does frequent as a concept, as a positioning strategy quite often. But for a courier service, often it's about speed of delivery too then, right? So if I ask you now to think of a courier service, so just think of Australia Post, they do courier services as well. Think about, are they expensive or are they cheap? Do they deliver fast or do they deliver slow? You can position yourself within this map there. Now think of another one like Fastway, I'm trying to think of all the different courier companies now. It just escaped my mind. But you could think of all the different companies and where they relate to. If that's more expensive than the others, you put them higher up. If they're faster, you put them further to the left. And of course, you wouldn't want to be really expensive and low speed. So this is where you do not want to be, and this is where you do want to be. Now, just a word of warning in this. In my experience, when I ask businesses where they are positioned in the market, they straight away say, I am the most affordable and the best quality. All right. So they always position themselves. I shouldn't say always, but very often do they position themselves in the most favourable position within the market, right? And it's just not sustainable. You can't be the cheapest and the highest quality. You can't. It just doesn't make sense, right? You might to start with, but it's not a sustainable position to hold because something's got to give, or competitors are going to join that marketplace and take those away from you. Now here's another one where we've got the speed of response. So high speed, low speed. We've got, instead of price, we've got the reliability and less reliability. When you do these positioning maps, there's no scale on here, right? So there's not like speed of response, like as in here would be the median or the average response, which just say would be 1 day, and then these ones are low response. That's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and usually these are conceptual. For us, when we do it through marketing research, we can actually put values on there. How often, like reliability, fulfillment. So these are less reliable. They might miss 1 delivery, might miss 2 deliveries, 3 deliveries, and you can actually put values in there. When you do a conceptual one, avoid putting everyone into the same segment. I shouldn't say segment. Into the same quadrant. That's the best word. That's the word I'm after. The same quadrant of the positioning map, because that doesn't really become meaningful then, because it kind of shows that everyone's in the same position in the market, which is not really what these tools are designed to do. They're designed to show the differences within the marketplace. So if you've done that, you might need to adjust how you're measuring it or how you conceptualize the marketplace. This one's got multiple businesses in 3 different quadrants, so that's kind of where you want to be. All right, we'll be dealing more of this in the workshop. I look forward to seeing you there, and until then, have a fantastic time.